Greetings, mortals! It is I, Shadow Blacker, also known as the Dark King! And we're back again with episode 3 of the Hellish Interview. This time with Mr. Creepy Uncle Vito from Creepy Family Reunion.
A dead channel. It's all good.
You're good. So, with that in mind, let's get into the first question now, shall we?
Oh, why not? We're already here.
Alright. First question is, what about D&D fascinated you?
Oh, God. Holy shit.
I told you I was going to start hitting you with some hard-hitting questions.
Well, you're making me think, man. My brain hurts already. Okay. Well, I'll explain this in a little bit of a backstory. A girlfriend I had, 3 or 4 years ago, maybe even longer than that. She played I don't want to call it a version of D&D. I don't even want to call it a spinoff. It's its own game, but it's a game called Pathfinder. She was the DM for her group, and we were dating at the time. She asked me if I wanted to play, and I was like, I've never done anything like that prior, so expect me to basically fuck it up. She said, that's fine. So, made a character, made it through one session, and never did it again. I don't know what happened. I thought it went okay. She said it went fine. Just some drama between friends occurred. I didn't know the full story of it, so didn't know. But after we split up, I started watching just random crap on YouTube, and something popped up called Critical Role. Sean mentioned about it prior. It is just to give a summary, Critical Role is a D&D stream with the players and the DM are all famous voice actors. The DM, Matthew Mercer, he is excuse me, he is the voice for several people throughout video games, anime, stuff like that. His probably most notable is McCree from Overwatch and Leon from Resident Evil 6.
Really?
Those are yeah, he's done those voices. The other cast, probably the most famous one right now is Ashley Johnson. She voiced Ellie in the Last of Us games.
Oh, okay. So that's why our voice sounded familiar.
Yeah.
Okay.
The other ones, like Travis Willingham, he does a lot of cartoons. Like he played Thor in the Avengers animated series. Laura Bailey, actually, you might find this interesting. Laura Bailey, actually Travis Willingham's wife, is what's her name? From she does a lot of anime because she's got not necessarily a high-pitched voice. Well, she does, but she can kind of control it a little bit better. She plays... Ryan, help me out. What's the main girl's name in Fruits Basket?
Never watched it, so I can't help you.
Damn it! But she plays that, or at least I think it's a 2019 version of it, because there's an older version of it. She does a lot of that. Pretty much everybody there, in one way or another, is a voice actor, an actor, what have you. The only one that is kind of an outlier is a gentleman who I am absolutely in love with, a gentleman by the name of Taliesin Jaffe. He was actually a child actor who went into, pretty much again, I'm paraphrasing here, got tired of it, went into voice acting a couple years later, and now he's kind of more of the behind the scenes kind of guy. He still does voice acting every now and then, but yeah, Taliesin Jaffe, just the sweetest guy. I absolutely love him. But the reason I got into D&D and why I thought it was fascinating was when I started watching Critical Role. about this just grand story, this world that they lived in. Come to find out, Matthew Mercer, the DM, made it out of his own head using the rules that D&D 5th edition provided, but created his own setting, and I just loved what all you could do with that. The main reason I started picking D&D up was I wanted to see what other options were out there. I went through started a couple other campaigns with me just as a player, but they lasted either 1 or 2 sessions, and then everything just went to shit. So I thought, fuck it, I'm just going to be a DM and just learn as I go, which is not what I recommend. There was a lot of headaches on my first campaign, but I must have done something right, because my first D&D campaign lasted on and off for about 3 years. And then since that one ended, I started with Elysium, started making that, and then Elysium got a little bit way in, so I could still finalize a few details, but I noticed I was in a bit of a rut when I was finalizing a few details, so I was like, okay, I'm going to take a break from Elysium. I'll start the next D&D campaign that I've already started in the background. But the main reason why I'm so fascinated with D&D is just the limitations, or I should say the lack thereof, that pretty much allows a player to do whatever they, or at least attempt to do what they want. And depending on the DM, they'll either allow it or have you try it, or just say, yeah, that's not going to be possible, so I'm stopping you there. Luckily enough, I've never had to do that, like completely say no to somebody, aside from once. And that was in Elysium with Sean, but I think I talked about this in one of my creepy casts, but I would say just the scope of what a world could be if you make it from scratch. I think that's what fascinated me the most about D&D.
Considering, that comment from your last creepy cast where you thought Dart and I had cameras in your house?
Yeah.
I think you just did the same to me, fucker.
Revenge, bitch.
I'm not sure, but I'll ask the question anyways, but that question's not until later.
Okay, that's fine. Alright.
Oh, I fucking hate you. Bitch.
Midget.
Oh, you're a piece of shit.
Duh.
Oh.
Alright.
Alright, this one's just a little silly.
Okay.
If you could add "you fucking jackass" to any famous movie quote or game, give us an example and why.
So I just splice in the phrase "you fucking jackass" to any movie or game quote?
Yep.
Okay. Shit. Okay. This is probably not where I probably should put it, but I started rewatching the Harry Potter movies not too long ago, so I watched all of them pretty much in one sitting, give or take, because I have nothing else to do. But I think it was in Order of the Phoenix, when I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but the lady from the Ministry of Magic that came in and pretty much had Harry write "I shall tell no lies" on that magic quill that pretty much scarred his wrist, or scarred his forearm. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
There was a confrontation between her and McGonagall, and there was a scene like they're back and forth on the stairs, and at one point I just wanted McGonagall to call her a fucking jackass, if that was the case, or just "you dumb bitch." I think that would have been the greatest thing ever, because McGonagall is one of my favorite characters from those movies, and I know she's censoring herself. I know what she wants to tell people, so I just see her bite her tongue. I was like, let it slip just once. So I'd say either that for the movie. For a game, I'd probably have to go with, oh god, that one's actually hard. Okay. Rude! No.
You gonna think rude later on.
We'll see. I think it'd probably be... I think it'd be like something in Mass Effect 2 or 3. Just something that Jack says. Even at the end of it, like, let's just say you have the romance with Jack from Mass Effect 2 leading into 3. If you go off in your team of 3 and don't bring her, she calls you a fucking jackass for not bringing her. I think something like that would be... This is one of those questions where after we're done recording this, I'm going to be in bed about to go to sleep and just something will pop in my head like, I should have said that! That's one of these questions. I know it.
Oh, and there is going to be some questions that you recognize from the last 2 Hellish interviews.
Okay.
I'm just going to say that, but that's not until later.
Alright.
Anyway,
I noticed some repetition between Darts and Sean, so I figured as much. Yeah, that's fine.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
So, honestly, I was gonna say this, that if I had to make a famous movie quote, it would be Hakuna Matata, you fucking jackass. That's right, Lion King bitches.
I need to rewatch the classic Disney movies. I need to rewatch those.
It means no worries, you piece of shit.
You stole that from TikTok, didn't you?
Wait, what?
I could have swore I saw something on TikTok just going through my For You page, and that popped up like that.
No, I actually thought of it myself.
Fair enough. I could have sworn I heard something similar to that, but that's alright.
But if someone actually got to that before me, fuck.
I think somebody did.
Damn it.
I know for a fact there's somebody on TikTok who does a creepily accurate McGonagall voice from Harry Potter. And she kind of is doing the same thing you did. She'll add cuss words and stuff like that. Like, one of the ones she did was... I think it was in the second or third movie where Harry, Ron, and Hermione approach McGonagall, and she says, "Why is it always there when there's trouble? It's always you three." This lady did it, just like repeated that quote, but you little shits. I wish I could like give the name so people can look it up. It was actually pretty funny. I loved it.
All right. Now here's another one for you. I'm honestly curious myself. What was it like being in the band?
Which one are you referring to?
I can't remember the band that you named off, but hell, I forget. I think you were like the lead singer of this one.
Okay, so you're not talking about the one Logan and I were trying to do with 2 randos. You weren't talking about that one, right?
Nah, I wasn't talking about that one.
Okay, so the only 2 that I've been in where I was the actual vocalist was... Nobody give me shit for these names. We were 16 when I named the first one. Black Rose. Because, of course, we had to do that crap. Because we were all goth kids. The second one was Strings and Stitches. And that one was more akin to... it's definitely... softer metal. The first band I was in was mostly Slipknot wannabes. We all had masks. We all wore the same like outfit. Most of it just depicted just a solid black shirt with beat up jeans and boots. Strings and Stitches, where it was just me and 3 other guys just playing more hard rock, going into metal, kind of going into the Godsmack, Stained, those kind of genres, whereas the one prior, that one was more Slipknot, Mushroomhead, Mudvayne, more guttural vocals, screaming and stuff like that.
Okay.
I'm gonna be honest with you, I forgot your original question.
So, what was it like being in the band?
Okay. The first one was it was the longest one I've been in. It lasted a few years. That one, I learned a lot as far as what to do and what not to do as far as my voice, because there were several instances where my voice was just completely shredded, because this was before I started actually taking care of my voice. I also, smoked a pack of cigarettes a day before I started vaping, doing a lot of gutter vocals, and I was doing them terribly. We weren't even any good. We just did it because there was nothing else to do, and we wanted to be rock stars, yada, yada, yada. But I would say from the first band, I would probably give it... It was chaotic at best. There was a lot of drama between band members and stuff like that, even to the point where we went through several bass players, drummers, and stuff like that. The only people that were actively involved throughout the entire thing was me and one of the guitar players. And actually, me and one of the guitar players went on to do Strings and Stitches afterwards, because we got tired of doing like the real heavy metal. But I would say, how am I going to phrase this? I would say the best way I can describe it was a lot of get up and go, or I'm sorry, a lot of get there and wait, like hurry up and wait, because we woke up early to drive to the gigs. We always arrived like a few hours early just to do sound check and get everything ready to go. So we would have like an hour prior to go eat and then go on stage, which I learned a couple of years into it. That is a big mistake. Don't eat an hour before you're on stage, because when you gotta go, you gotta go. So I learned that the hard way. We never released any like demos or anything like that. We literally just wrote quite a few of our own songs, did a couple of covers just to keep the audience entertained. But once Strings and Stitches started going, we kind of just solely focused on doing our own music, originals, and that lasted a few months. Just because, one, we weren't any good. We were terrible musicians, but we gave energy on the stage, and that's why a lot of people, the ones that did like us, liked us just for that.
Just for the energy, not for the passion.
Correct. The second reason is the reason why Strings and Stitches didn't take off beyond that was we were getting older. I say older, we were in our 20s. But a couple of people got married. Some ended up having full-time jobs because they had to pay the bills. And sad thing is, one of our members went to prison for drug-related charges, and then one of our other members sadly passed away from a overdose. So it was pretty much at that point, with 2 members down, we were just like, yeah, we're gonna pack it in, we're done. I mean, I enjoyed what I remember, because here's the thing, this is when Vito was really bad on pills, so I don't remember a lot of it, at least for the first group. The Strings and Stitches, I was attempting to get, not necessarily sober, because I still drank alcohol, but clear cut off the drugs. And I remember that one fairly well, but it just, like, the energy wasn't there. We were having more fun writing than we were performing. And that was the polar opposite with Black Rose. We had more fun performing than we did writing.
Okay.
And we were wasted so much money doing that. the equipment, stuff like that, after everything was like, yep, we're done. Everybody sold all of their equipment aside from, because like I still have a guitar from back when I played, because I would every now and then pick up, like, let's just say one of our guitar players had to be at work, he couldn't perform, so I just played rhythm. So I still have that guitar, but everything else is either gone, or it was so damaged I threw it away, or I sold it. So my dreams of being a rock star never came to fruition.
You're fine. Alright, that actually just brought me to my next question.
Mhm.
What kind of songs did you write? Like the names and such?
Like the track names?
Yeah.
Um, the For Black Rose, we did a couple of originals, but a few covers. Mostly what we covered was again Mudvayne, Slipknot, Mushroomhead, stuff like that. The ones that I can recall playing a lot was a song called "A Perfect Design," which it basically was the emo love story of the girl that got away, stereotypical thing like that. And then there was 9 by 9, which is, I can't remember where I saw it from, but there was this quote I read in a book that described the feeling of being claustrophobic was being in a 9 by 9 cell, 9 foot by 9 foot, and it's slowly creeping in. So I kind of went with that topic on that one.
Okay.
Then for Strings and Stitches, probably the one I was most proud of was a song we held called Memory and a Scar. Basically portraying the idea that the not necessarily stereotypical, but like every scar you have on your body has an interesting story behind it, whether it's a positive or a negative or just something stupid. Basically, it was a song about these scars that somebody got and them telling the story for each scar.
Hmm.
That's probably the one I'm most proud of.
Okay. That's actually very interesting. I have never thought about that.
I think in total between the two bands, I ended up writing. Well, I had a bunch of rough drafts, but ones that actually became quote unquote songs were, I think I got about 15, 16 songs written between the two bands.
15 to 16?
Give or take. I have the journal around here that I wrote lyrics down somewhere in this mess I have called a house. But yeah, it's like 15 or 16 songs that were fully fleshed out, or at least to our standards, quote unquote, they were fleshed out. The rest of them, though, as far as Black Rose, was just, again, quite a few covers just to keep people in. Strings and Stitches was just mostly all originals. We did one cover just because we liked the song, but the majority of it was originals.
Okay. Alright, and that brings me to my next question. And this was prior to the first question. What inspired the idea of becoming a DM that you are now?
That is definitely, I would say, 50% me just copying Matt Mercer from Critical Role. I'm not going to lie about it. A lot of newer people who are starting to get into D&D, they kind of take their inspiration from him. The other part is I've always enjoyed the writing process for world building. So I've written, not necessarily books, we'll call them novellas, like short little light novels and stuff like, well, I guess light novels is more manga related, so, but shorter stories. So I enjoy the act of building a world, fleshing it out, making it more presentable. So because of that, that's kind of where I get my, we'll call it linguistic descriptors, where I describe a scene with probably a little too much in the way of flavor that's not entirely necessary. So I would say part of that is definitely my history of just like writing stories, and essentially the rest of it was just I stole from Matt Mercer.
Oh shit, okay. You know, I still say this. Guys, I'm gonna tell you this. He and I have a bit of history, and like I told you guys before, yes, I used to visit his shop. We would talk for at least a couple of hours when I used to smoke. When I would go down to the shop, I was a regular. Sometimes I would even go down there for the juice. I would just go down there just to have an actual intelligent or decent conversation.
Right. You would still end up leaving with a bottle of juice. I would finagle you to part away with some money. You and KJ were the main regulars at that shop before it closed down.
Yeah, and then after that, you guys moved over to the Mooresville one.
Right. Yeah. That one is actually where I came from first. I was a part-time employee down there, and then the CEO of our company pretty much called the shop and just asked me, "Hey, do you want to go on full-time pay and essentially be the main guy at the new shop in Plainfield?" I said, "Sure." He goes, "Awesome sauce." Like, what? That is what he said. My CEO of the company that I work for told me when I said yes, I'll go on full time. He goes, "Awesome sauce." Like, okay, did not expect that, but all right. But went from Mooresville because I was there for a year. Went to Plainfield and I was there for a year. Plainfield shut down just because we were in a terrible location. Then now I'm back in Mooresville, still full time, and I've been there now for about a year and a half. So in total, I've been with this company for the better part of 3 years.
Okay, so basically, you actually went from the Mooresville location to Plainfield, and now you're back at that same one, just more what I would say indebted.
Say what?
Just I would say what more I'd say involved, I guess.
Not necessarily more involved. My role has remained the same. I am still the shop bitch, but my hours have increased. My hours and pay got increased.
Shop bitch.
Dude, that's what I'm in. I'm on the low end of the totem pole. I'm technically not necessarily the new guy, but I'm the guy that's been there the least amount of time that's still there. Because we've had a couple of people come in and either get fired or they just quit because they knew we were about to fire them.
I do remember the one guy you guys hired from before, but he didn't really come in or something like that. Didn't even really do the work, but he didn't really come in either.
Johnny, yeah.
Yeah, got fired from that.
Here's the thing. Johnny got fired mostly... I would say Johnny got fired mostly, one, Savannah, my boss, and technically his boss, he wasn't learning as fast as he should, and it took him too long to do what normal retail normally involves. I don't want to get too deep into that, but he got let go. There were one other one that quit because she couldn't find a babysitter, which, I mean, worked for me because 9 times out of 10 she just wouldn't come in anyway, and I would get a call to go up to Plainfield to cover her shift. Right. Then there was Enrique, aka Tony. Solid dude, nicest dude you'll ever meet, but his life had, the best way I could describe his lifestyle was like he had to deal with like 10 pounds of shit in a 5-pound bag. He was trying to bite off more than he could chew because he was training to become, I can't remember if it was an EMT or a firefighter. No. I believe he said he was a firefighter, but he was going to school to be an EMT.
That Enrique. I remember. Okay.
Yeah, him. He did that, as well as he, kind of similar to how you started off with YouTube, basically me talking you back and forth to get you set up. He did the same thing for Twitch. Now, I don't know if he's still streaming or anything like that, but when Fortnite started to blow up, that's basically what he did. The main problem why he quit is because once Plainfield shut down, there was not enough hours to pass around like there used to be. So he would work like maybe one day a week. and that is realistically not enough to live on. So he just said, "Yeah, no offense, man, but I'm just out," and that was fair enough. I've talked to him a couple times since he left, but the majority of it is, hey, I need an idea for a game to play on the stream because I'm getting bored of Fortnite. Give me a recommendation. I give him a recommendation, and then I don't hear from him for 6 months. Aside from that, the only other person that was there was actually Enrique's brother. Oh boy, I'm not going to get into that one, but yeah, bye. He gone. But that's all I'm going to say on that one.
Oh, dude, that actually, I just remembered I remember the first time not first time. This was a couple of visits in when I was going to your shop, and I was by myself, or rather than being with my friend Lexi or being around Logan's bitch ass.
To clarify for those watching, not Logan, Logan?
Yeah, not our Logan. This was a Logan. Different Logan I was in school with.
Female Logan.
Yeah. Technically, just so you guys, to add more context to it, Logan's name is actually Cassandra. Just back when I met her, she went by Sandra. And when Vita met her, she started going by Logan.
Wait, what?
Yeah. When by the time you met Logan, she was Sandra before she became Logan.
Okay, the way you worded that made it seem like she changed her name because of me.
No.
Okay. I was like, wait a minute, what did I do?
No.
Okay.
The fact is, she was going through this whole, like, I guess, identity thing. I'm not sure if it was identity thing, but she kept calling herself gender fluid because she's a lesbian and everything.
Even though you dated her.
Yeah. For like 3 weeks back in high school. Shut the fuck up, everybody.
Hey, you were still quote-unquote friends afterwards anyway.
Yeah, we were.
Yeah.
But, now that she's gone, all I've heard about her since I don't want to talk to her anymore, I cut that bitch out of my life. Last time I ever heard of her, she's living in Tennessee now with her mother and sister, and now goes by Cassie.
So she went back to Cassandra, basically.
Yeah.
That's fair.
And how I told you about her name, her middle name is Pearl. She hated that.
Nobody has those types of names anymore, man. There was a hipster trend that's still active going, but nobody seems to be naming their children the, I would say, 1950s style names. You don't really see names like Pearl. You don't see names like Betsy. You don't see stuff like that, like old-timey names anymore, man.
They're modernizing everything.
Yeah. even to the point where they spell shit completely different than what it really needs to be. The worst one I've ever seen. Okay, I'm gonna ask you this, because there is technically multiple ways to spell this name. Off the top of your head, how do you spell the name Erica?
Erica?
Yeah.
Fuck.
Just first way of spelling it comes to your head.
The way how I've met one girl whose name was spelled Erica, it was Ericka.
Okay. I saw a news story talking to this one girl, and the way she spelled her name, it was pronounced Erica, but it was spelled Air, A-I-R, Recca, W-R-E-C-K-E-A.
What?
I shit you not, man. That was like, wait, it took me a minute to like, Erica. Oh, Erica. I had to like enunciate each syllable out to figure out what the hell her name was.
Good God.
Yeah.
I mean, I met a girl whose name was Erin, but she went by E-R-I-N.
See, that's normal. See,
Yeah,
me, that's normal.
That's normal.
Yeah, because Aaron, I could be entirely wrong, but isn't the male equivalent of that is Aaron or Rin? Then the female is Erin?
Yeah, the male version is Aaron, yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
I mean, I lucked out. I lucked out with... Yeah. I lucked out with my name because there's really only one feasible way to spell it. Levi. That's it. But my mom... What up?
No, I didn't say anything.
Oh, you're good. But my mom was originally going to call me Leviathan.
Leviathan.
Correct. Now, this is a rumor that I heard that she was going to call her second son Behemoth. Because in demonology, again, this is a rumor, I don't know how true this is, she would have Leviathan and Behemoth, and one of the ways to bring about Ragnarok or the Rapture or the Apocalypse was when Behemoth and Leviathan fought. After they fight, the world would be in ruins. And she thought that'd be funny because, you know, brothers growing up, they'll fight. That's just how it is.
True.
So she would intentionally do that just to say, oh, the world's about to come to an end. And that's what she... Luckily enough, my grandmother talked her down to just Levi.
Okay, that actually kind of reminded me of basically going off this whole thing. This was like a family, I wouldn't say a family issue with me, but it was like a thing with my mom, my grandmother, and her ex-husband, which is my grandfather. I think my name was going to be Joseph, or my middle name was going to be Joseph. But, you know, the whole family drama, or whatever, I don't want to talk about my grandfather.
Fair enough.
But, my name was going to be Joseph. I can't remember if it was my first name or my middle name. Because if it was going to be my middle name, it was going to be Ryan Joseph, and then saying my last name. Which, for everybody out here, I'm not going to tell you my last name.
Probably a good idea.
Yeah. But, funny enough, my mom was hoping that I would be a girl. And my mom at first was hoping that I would be a girl because when she was pregnant with me, I was a surprise. Me and my sister were the only ones that were a surprise to my mom. My brother was the only one out of the three of us who was planned. And my mom was thinking about naming me Carolyn or Caroline.
Okay.
Because my grandmother's name is Carolyn.
Oh, that would have been confusing as hell at Thanksgiving.
Yeah, but my grandmother's name is Carol or Carolyn, and she's my mother's mom. And but the way how she was gonna have me named, she was gonna name me Cece for short, by Cece for short meaning Caroline Celeste. Yeah.
Huh. So you lucked out on that. You lucked out on Ryan, dude.
Yeah.
But,
It's a normal name.
right. I mean, technically, you could legally change your name.
Yeah, I could.
People do it all the time. I think I know I was an accident because my mom, whenever she was pregnant with me, she was like really young. She was like 15 or 16, if I'm recalling correctly. I could be entirely wrong about that, but I don't know. I know where my first name came from, and I know where my middle name, Daniel, came from. I got named after one of my uncles. But after I was born, my father who I have since met, mind you. I didn't meet my father till I was 22, and I'm almost 30 now. But my dad was a little bit older. I think he was 18 or 19 or something like that. But again, I could be wrong about the age on that, because again, whenever you're adopted, and I was, the parents don't really give you that much information on your birth parents. I didn't learn this until much later. But since then, my mother, who I'm in contact with, she's been in my life. She's been in my life all these years. There's no beef between either her nor my father. There's a slight beef possibly between my mom, my biological mom, and my biological dad. But again, it's more of a respectful, I'm not going to cause drama thing, but we really don't want to have any communication because they've lived separate lives at this point. But my mom started a trend naming her children after me, because she started naming her children names that start with the letter J, because I am the oldest between my parents. Then my mom had my brothers Jace, Justin, and Jaden.
Huh.
My dad, he went more realistic. My other siblings are Savannah, Steve, and Emma. So I think I avoided an issue being called a J name, because I can't honestly think of any more names besides Joe and Joseph that she could have called me if she stuck with the J name. But I don't know if I dodged a bullet or anything like that, because every time I tell somebody my real name, they're like, "Oh, I've not heard that name in a long time." Like, neither have I. Except I hear it every day, every time I sign a check.
Alright. With that little rant on control.
Right.
And that was during the question of inspired idea to becoming a DM, and it took this long.
I know, right? I I know for a fact I got ADD. I don't know if you do or not, but
I kind of do, not gonna lie.
Okay, I've not been diagnosed, but I do know that my attention will literally, if a car honks when I'm having a conversation, I obviously look at the direction where the honk occurred, go back to the conversation like, wait, what were we talking about? It's that easy to distract me.
I'm the same way. Alright. So, on to the next question.
Yeah, let's start moseying on along.
Considering that you are an otaku, have you ever bought any sort of prop relating to the anime or the manga you have read?
This is going to be the shortest question. No.
Okay.
Here's why. I have already too much shit that I'm trying to declutter. I'm slowly trying to live a more minimalist lifestyle. So I'm slowly starting to either sell, give away, and stuff like that. A lot of the crap I never use.
Kind of like you did with me with those CDs.
Exactly. Those CDs, and you saw how many I had.
Way too many.
Yeah. I did the math, and again, this is a rough thing. At one point in time, I had roughly $8,000 worth of CDs.
Oh, shit.
Now, mind you, that is basing them on the price of $10 a piece. Obviously, some were like cheap $5 ones you get like the thing at Walmart, or some were even $30 because it was a deluxe edition that came with a normal album record, the live version of that album, and a DVD. So again, that's just a variant, but the average price ended up being about $8,000 over, I would say, 15 years of collecting CDs.
Huh.
As of right now, I just have I've only got 2 more CDs, but those will not be sold because one of them is signed by Alice Cooper. The other one is signed by Joey Jordison. And those were both gifts from my brother-in-law. So those are ones I will not be selling.
I wouldn't expect you to after that.
No. It's the weirdest thing. Nobody in my family likes metal like in the same way I do. I do have a couple of cousins and nephews who like a couple of songs from like, Five Finger Death Punch, Slipknot, just 1 or 2. But to go to the extreme as far as knowing each of the songs, what each song's story is about and stuff like that, my brother-in-law is the same way I am. The only difference is he is, I believe, 50 or 55. I could be getting his age wrong. But he knows the ins and outs of Ozzy Osbourne, Alice Cooper, Motley Crue, like the classic 70s and 80s and even early 90s, hair metal to grunge and stuff like that. He knows the ins and outs of those bands. I know more from the 90s on. So me and him kind of became close on that. Even to the point where every year for my birthday, he will normally mail me either cash for my birthday and stuff like that. One time, and I felt so bad about this, I had to explain to him, and this broke my heart. He sent me tickets to see Ozzy Osbourne's, Black Sabbath's with Ozzy Osbourne, one of their final tours, quote unquote, at the time. He sent me tickets for that. I wish to create a perfect human being, and I could not take the day off work.
Ooh.
So I felt so terrible about that I couldn't go. So Bill, if you're watching, I'm sorry, man. I'll give you your money back if you want. I ended up selling him to one of my sister's friends, and he had an absolute blast. So I was like, okay, I'm glad it was at least a good show, but I just felt
sad
that
you missed out on it.
I'm sad that I missed out on it, as well as I'm sad that Bill got it for me, and I couldn't go because I couldn't get the time off of work because I already took my vacations.
Right.
And I was, at the time the concert was going to be on a Saturday, and I'm the only one that works at the shop on Saturdays. So, and nobody else could have covered for me. Like, I would have just taken the hit and just lost a day of work as far as pay, and that would have been fine. But nobody could have shown up. Savannah was with her parents, and I'm not going to tear her away from that. The other girl that works there, Steph, she was busy with something. I can't remember what, but she was not available. And this was after Plainfield had closed. So Enrique, any of all of them, they're already gone. So I felt really bad for that. But as far as, we went off on a tangent again. God damn it.
I like how you're the only one.
Right. I know. I'd take full blame on that one.
No, you're good.
But as far as props go, I never really got into collectibles in that regard, as far as props go. Just because I have limited storage space in my house already. Plus, if I'm going to go into that form of like memorabilia and stuff like that for anime related stuff, I'm going to invest, and I'm going to save up my money and get a really good one, not just a piece of plastic. I'm going to actually buy a real one.
Okay.
If there was one that I was looking at getting, but again, I took a look on my shelving space. There was a statue that I could have got of Kaneki and Jason from Tokyo Ghoul. Their big fight, the second Kaneki's hair goes white and he essentially accepts the ghoul in him. There was a maquette, a little I can't really say little statue. It was a foot wide, and it stood about 1.5 feet tall. But it was so detailed, very beautifully hand painted. It would have cost about $1,000.
Ooh.
if I go into that kind of memorabilia, I'm going to buy the best one available, because I'd rather spend more money on one thing than buy 10 things for like $20.
So just making sure it's well worth it.
Very much. The only other thing I would say I've collected over the years, at least I did for a couple months, was those pop vinyl figures. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I got the entire collection, or at least at the time of release, whenever I did buy them, of Tokyo Ghoul. I did it for Attack on Titan. I did it, and I hate myself for doing it, Ready Player One, the movie, which... Rant incoming. Ready Player One, the movie. Now, if there was no book regarding it, I would have been like, okay, a little bit over the top, but all right, it's enjoyable. The fact that I read the book, saw the movie, I was livid at how much they changed. But I bought the pop vinyl figures all, I think it was like 7 or 8 for the whole collection for $20. And that should have been a red flag for me. But no. But as far as memorabilia, the only other thing I've got, aside from, well, it kind of depends on if you classify manga as memorabilia, but that's about the only thing I collect now is manga.
Alright, hey. Alright, I'll give you that. I'll give you that. Because the only, I think, one thing, or I actually got a few things that are anime related. Some of the, like those little figures of some of the Dragon Ball characters, such as Goku Black, Bulma. Yes, Bulma. I got a Vegeta, I got a Trunks. And I've got Ren Okumura's sword from Blue Exorcist, the Coma sword.
I knew you had that because we talked about it whenever we were playing Devour.
Yeah.
I did not know about the Dragon Ball statues. Now, You're gonna take away my otaku card for this. I have never seen anything Dragon Ball.
I mean, I'm not gonna take it from you. I'm pretty sure the community is, but
right.
But no, considering back then I wasn't really a fan of Dragon Ball either until I kind of got into it during, I think, maybe during the I think Frieza saga, kind of.
Okay.
And then I just stopped watching it around around GT.
From what I've heard, for the few people that I've talked to regarding Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, they kind of are in the same agreement as you are. Again, I know nothing about it, but I hear the name GT, and I think that's where a lot of people for Dragon Ball stop.
Right.
But at the time when I wasn't watching Dragon Ball at all. I think at that time when Dragon Ball was like getting popular, I think I was watching Inuyasha more.
Oh yeah, Inuyasha, yeah.
And Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, the classic childhood animes. And yes, I classify Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon as anime.
They actually were, yes. Believe it or not, folks, they were.
Yep. Although I found this funny because I watched a video on YouTube a couple of years ago about why, or the question of the video was, should Yu-Gi-Oh be labeled as an anime? And it checked all the criteria for an anime. One, there was a manga about it. Got transitioned over to this. The funny thing that I found out when watching this video was, did you watch Yu-Gi-Oh when you were a kid?
Oh, hell yeah.
Okay. So, during the Pegasus arc, I guess we'll call it, the main tournament.
Yeah, the one with the Millennium Eye.
Yeah. There was... God, what is his name? He was the stereotypical Japanese American, like had the red, white, and blue cap and stuff like that. You know what I'm talking about? I can't remember his name.
Was he part of Yugi's gang or no?
No, he was one of the bad guys.
Ah, damn, I don't remember that.
Like he got introduced fairly early on. He looked like he was in his 30s or 40s, had the bandana.
What
was it?
I think I know who you're talking about, but I know it wasn't Johnny or something.
No.
No,
Google! What's going on, Google? Hang on. I am so sorry, folks. I will be with you in one moment. Hang on. Yu-Gi-Oh! Cast.
Bandana dude.
Others. Come on.
Folks, just watch him try and fail.
Shut up. Okay, so... Son of a bitch. Son of a bitch. Of all the times my internet decides to act up. Okay.
Just so you know, we're at 55 minutes. You said you wanted to beat Sean's time.
Yep. That is that is my goal for this. Alright. A lot of it's just gonna be awkward silence while I'm looking for shit. Okay. Cast, here we go. Shut up.
I'm waiting.
Where the fuck is it? Duke Devlin?
Duke
right?
Devlin.
Hang on.
Yeah, look up Duke Devlin Yu-Gi-Oh. Because
hang on.
I was gonna say that actually does sound a little familiar. I'm not gonna lie.
No, that was. Wait a minute, that ain't right. No, Duke Devlin was the dice guy.
Oh.
No,
oh wait, the little dice Yu-Gi-Oh player guy.
That
Okay.
actually was pretty cool though. I wish they released something like that.
Yeah, that would be cool.
I would play that.
Yeah. Not gonna lie, I would too. Considering the way how the box opens up.
Oh
and
yeah.
your character can actually move in that amount of spaces, especially if it connects to a different your opponent's bridge or your opponent's box. And you could still move to that way and attack their life points directly instead of actually attacking their monsters.
Oh yeah.
That was actually a really good idea.
Okay. Hang on. Wait. Bandit Keith!
Okay.
That was it, Bandit Keith.
Bandit Keith.
Yeah. Oh.
Took you a minute.
3 searches later. Bandit Keith Howard.
Bandit Keith Howard, you said.
Sorry about that. The reason I was looking up that name is because there is a major difference between the Japanese version of Yu-Gi-Oh! And the American. Because, I don't know if you can recall this, but at the end of the Final Four fight between Yugi and Keith, Keith lost, got pissy, jumped up, and pointed at Pegasus. And I thought that was weird. Turns out, in the Japanese version of it, he's holding a gun to Maximilian's head. They edited it out
Seriously?
for the American version. Yeah.
Because they deemed that was too violent?
Yeah, because technically Yu-Gi-Oh! Would be classified as a children's show, and you can't really show guns in that way. Like, actually, you could show guns, like them just kind of carrying them around, not pointing at anybody. But the second they become pointed at somebody, that's no longer appropriate for children, apparently. But they scrubbed it out to where he's just pointing a finger. So that's why at that scene it looked weird. He was just pointing to him, but it looked like his finger was bent for some reason. That's why his finger was bent around the trigger.
Okay. Then I guess that actually makes sense.
It does. I just thought that was a little interesting tidbit.
Alright. Now, on to our next little question.
4 hours later.
I mean, you're at 59 minutes, so you're getting there. And we're almost done with our questions.
How many have I gone through and how many are left?
Actually quite a few, not gonna lie. About maybe
Okay.
five or six, maybe?
Okay. Alright.
Can you tell us the weirdest thing you have ever experienced?
Okay, define weird. Because you're talking to somebody named Creepy Uncle Vito.
I mean, not in the scary sense. Well, not just like in the scary sense, or something that has caught your eye that has been deemed weird, such as something that's weird to you, say like something on the news that you didn't expect to see, or something around you, that kind of thing.
Crap. God, this one's actually hard. If it was just around me, like something I've watched, I don't have too much in the way of stories. I've done some weird shit in my past, but as far as what's occurred around me, the closest thing I can think of was... It was something my family did. It was basically just like the teenagers up to the 30-year-olds who would play this game at like Thanksgiving, Christmas, when we got together. The food was getting ready, so we were bored. So it was like, all right, let's go do something. Like, all right, what? Well, Ryan, have you heard of this game called Cornhole?
Yes.
Okay. Well, Cornhole, normally you just, for those of you who don't know, there's like a bean bag, like a small little bag that's like maybe a foot long, filled with like some kind of silica powder or silica balls and stuff like that you just toss. It's kind of like skee ball, but it's at your house, and you, instead of rolling, you just throw it, and there's a little hold that you have to aim for to get the most points.
Right.
What we did is we would place the little hole on our lap so that it was directly in shot of the male member. So, and we would just throw back and forth. Whoever basically got hit in the nuts first lost. That's probably the weirdest thing to do with your family, depending on your family. But aside from that, the rest of the weird experiences and stuff like that has occurred outside of what I've done, most of it would have been classified as unnerving or scary, and you said a minute ago that not necessarily scary.
Like I said, well, this question did pertain to like asking something you've experienced that you thought was weird, such as like what you have told, like one of your stories that had like something weird in it, or what you were doing with your family. Apparently, it's kind of weird playing cornhole until one of you
okay.
let's get hit.
Wait. Okay, I just got a flashback. I got one that's better than that.
All right, go ahead.
It happened to me, but I volunteered for it. When I was going through high school, a few of my buddies lived out in a town in Indiana called Paragon. We dubbed it BFE, or Bumfuck Egypt. There was mostly it was a heavily wooded area. It's very peaceful out there, not much out there, so a little bit boring, so you just kind of made your own fun. Well, one of my buddies had a four-wheeler. So every now and then we would just kind of ride that around, just do stupid shit. Well, his sister, who was like 4 or 5 years older than us, had some of these like hair wax strips, like to remove hair from your body and stuff like that. And there was a sale that she buy one get one free. She only needed one, so she basically knew we were dumbasses and said, "Here, have fun." Like, all right. We started like one guy we knew at the age of 16 had freaking 1970s hairy chest. It was borderline gross. So we put one on his chest, didn't trim it or anything, just took hair out and it went just ripped.
Oh god.
So we did that. Everybody either did that or, did the legs or did like under the chin or your eyebrows or whatever. I was a dumbass. I was like, you know what? Screw this. Let's take this up a notch. I grabbed the strips, I grabbed a clamp, like a little paper clip kind of clamp, and I grabbed some rope and some tape. I told my buddy, hey, go get the four-wheeler. Like, okay. He went to grab the four-wheeler, pulled it up front. I went to the bathroom and was doing the first half of the process of giving myself a bikini wax. But I left it on.
Uh-oh.
The reason I did that is I hooked the end of the strip to the clip, taped it off, hooked it to the rope, tied the rope to the end of the four-wheeler.
Oh my god.
Just said go. That was one of the most painful occurrences in my life.
Do you regret your decision?
Yes, in the way it caused pain. No, in the sense it was fucking hilarious. After I got done screaming in pain, I was laughing for a good solid 20 minutes. So, there was that. I guess that's weird. Then, again, okay, this is another weird thing that I did. Not that I did, but my buddies did. I refused to partake in this little event that they did, just because when I was in high school, this was before my growth spurt. I was 5'8", 350 pounds, and it's called body dysmorphia now, but I couldn't remember what they called it before, but I basically had a version of that where I viewed my body as a lot worse than what it actually was, more disgusting. So I didn't partake. What they would do, mind you, in the winter time, and you and I both know how bad the winters can be here.
Yep.
They did the Naked Mile.
Oh, God.
In the middle of winter. For those of you who don't know, Indiana winters are no joke. They're not as bad as Minnesota or Michigan or stuff like that, but you can easily get down to negative 10 degrees Fahrenheit, not including the wind chill whatsoever. On the coldest night, they would say, okay, it's time for the Naked Mile, and that's what they would do. A bunch of dipshit people would drop trow and run a mile in this weather. And there was normally like 7 or 8 of them that were doing it.
Seriously?
Yeah. This was out in BFE, mind you. Obviously, if you get caught, that's public indecency. You go to jail for that, or at least a very steep fine. But the problem was... Oh god, I probably shouldn't say this, but fuck it. They were all 16 at the time, so that was very bad.
Right.
That's another reason why I didn't go. Because I was not going over to... If I was going to go to jail for anything, it was not going to be for that.
Oh, no.
Out of everything I could have been arrested for, I was not going to have it be that.
Okay. Alright, you know what? To be honest...
There's a reason... Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, to be honest, I kind of remember I have a friend of mine. There was this lady, I think she lives in the Ukraine. And, she told me, kind of similar to what your friends did, running the Naked Mile. Instead, I get this was in the middle of winter, and people would actually do this. Like, they would celebrate this kind of thing. I forget. She told it to me in a kind of way. I don't remember how she said it, but everybody who would, in the middle of winter, I guess to start off, I believe the new year, before even the new year even came, that or like the coming of spring, they would actually drop into their bikinis or their swimming trunks or whatever, or what have you, and they would find a body of water in the middle of the cold.
I know what this is. Yep.
Yeah, and jump in there for like a few seconds, like, and then get out just for like to have luck, I believe. I don't know. I don't remember, but she did say that.
I've heard of this. the stories that I've heard regarding this, it's mostly first and foremost, it's bragging rights to say you've done it. But I think what it's supposed to do, again, I don't know about the Ukraine. What I watched was more based in Russia. They would do it to act as kind of a cleansing thing, to essentially, like, any kind of bad feelings you had the previous year, you jump in the water, you essentially, quote unquote, freeze the negativity out, then get back out and warm up. But obviously, Russia being Russia, vodka was involved, so their body temp normally felt like it was fine. But I have heard of this. This is not something I would do. But
Me neither.
I don't fuck with the cold, man. No, that's where I draw the line. If it's cold, I don't do nothing.
Same here.
I'm a sissy when it comes to cold.
No, I'm like that dude from back when Vine was a thing. Yes, fuckers, Vine was still a thing back then. But I'm like that. Yeah, who doesn't? I'm like that guy who is like, when it's cold outside, I'm gonna keep my black ass in this house for today.
I did one, not a Vine, but I did it, something similar to that. Every year, when the snow starts getting really heavy around here, I would go outside and just say, "It's beginning to look a lot like fuck this. I'm so tired of the cold." Just go on a rant like that. So, yeah, fat boy don't fuck with no cold.
No, who does?
Nope.
This is why I'm a summer guy.
I'm a early spring, late fall kind of person. It's weird. I don't like full on winter, but I like there to be a chill in the air because I like wearing a hoodie. Hoodie's like my security blanket.
Okay.
Summer is not good for fat guys like me. We will go through 3 shirts in a day if we're outside longer than an hour.
Yeah. Fucking hell.
Next question.
Yes. That's what I'm actually looking at now. Oh, here's a good one for you, considering you work at a vape shop.
Okay.
If you started your own vape shop, what would you sell and what would you call your shop?
Well, if you said it was a vape shop, I would obviously sell vapes.
I mean, not just vapes. I mean, like the kind of brands you would sell, or would you even make up your own?
I have tried making my own mods before. They work. They just weren't great. So, I ain't gonna bother with that. I'm not that original when it comes to names, so I'd probably just call it Vito's Vapes. To be fair, if I was gonna open up a vape shop. But as far as what I would carry, the majority of what I would carry as far as hardware goes, as much as I don't like the brand it sells, so I would have to carry this brand called Smok, S-M-O-K. Now,
Yeah, I hated Smok.
I do not like Smok at all, even though I sell more of that at the shop than I do anything else.
Right.
The brands that I would love to carry is, my personal favorite brand out there is a brand called Voopoo, V-O-O-P-O-O. Silly name, but they have, in my experience, the best longevity to it. I've had mods, for those of you who don't know, mods are basically the battery part of a vape where it's the boxy style vapes.
Yeah.
Voopoo has been great. For everything that I've ever bought from Voopoo, I've only had one break, and that was my own stupidity as to why it broke. Voopoo has been really good, so I would carry that. Geek Vape makes damn near indestructible mods, so I would definitely carry that, considering around here we got mostly construction workers.
Right.
Aside from that, as far as hardware, I'd probably end up going with a few of the smaller mods for Saltnik, which is, I'd probably do a combination of the Voopoo Vinci at a lower wattage coils for those, as well as the Orion, which Personally, I believe that's probably the best salt nick device out there, refillable salt nick device. A few other odd ends. The only thing that would be different from what I've got in the shop now is I would carry a couple of just like, this is so stupid, why is it expensive mods, just to have one. Because you know there will be somebody in there that wants to have bragging rights that they paid $500 for a mod.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah. I would keep those basically just like, it's here.
I do remember when I did go to your shop, I remember having a mod, I forget what kind of mod it was, but I think the mouthpiece, whatever, was something called the Phoenix? I forget what it was. Like, it was something about a Phoenix or something like that, and I know what the coils the Falcon, that's what it was. Why was I thinking Phoenix? Okay, my bad.
No, you're good. No, the Falcon's still out and about, man. They've got 2 new versions since you quit vaping.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got the Falcon King and then the Falcon 2.
I honestly thought there was gonna be a queen, not a 2.
No, but yeah, the Falcons are really good tanks. You got a really good tank.
Yeah, I had one before I actually quit, but.
Now, did you give your setup away or did you sell it? Or did you throw it away?
I think I sold it.
Okay, I was just curious.
Yeah, I think I did sell it, but off to somebody who was older than I was. So I think they were around the age of maybe 26. So, yeah.
Okay. Fucking traitor.
Hey, I didn't know what to do with it, so fuck you.
No, I'm talking about you. I'm talking about you quitting vaping in general.
Oh, fuck you too.
No, you're good.
Alright.
Let's say as far as juice in the shop, I'm going to be honest. My shop, in my opinion, carries the best juice there is. And I'm not just saying that because I work for the company that makes it. I have been vaping for almost a decade now. I've tried thousands of different juices over the years. And the brand, and not necessarily the brand, the maker of the juice at my shop is also the owner of the shop. And I have found no other juice that I would be more proud of to have in my shop. Because everything else is either what we have dubbed coil killers, that'll turn a coil black in a few days, when normally a coil is supposed to last anywhere from 5 to 10 days longer if you're using a mesh coil. Or they would just be so laden with sweetener that it's almost got a chalky aftertaste and just ugh. With the juice that we make and sell at my shop, I've not found any better. Yes, it's more pricey, but you get what you pay for. And I still see that daily, people coming in asking me why their vape's leaking, why the coils are burning out, and the first thing I always ask them is, what juice are you using? And 9 times out of 10, it's always either, I'm not going to name brands, just I don't want to get sued, but these other brands that you can buy at gas stations. Well, first off, you don't buy vapes at gas stations. You can, doesn't mean you should. So I always see people like that coming in, wanting that. It's like, you need a better juice. Well, like, okay, how much extra is a better juice? It's like, you're looking about $30 for a 60 milliliter. They get all uppity, they leave. 2 weeks later, they come back in and said, fine, I'll try a bottle of it. They come back, they buy more.
Actually, I do remember a couple of the first ones I've actually tried when I was going to your shop. Sticky Moose, Full Moon, Solar Flare.
Which you to this day is the only person I know that actively liked those flavors.
I do remember, I forget, the Hippie Drops was a good one.
Yeah. Sadly, we no longer have Hippie Drops.
Yeah.
I don't know if they went out of...
I did really enjoy Full Moon.
Yeah, Hippie Drops, I think sadly, I don't know if it went out of business or just the contract we had with this company to make the juice fell out or just something happened, but we sadly do not get it in anymore, and that bums me out because it was a good flavor.
Okay. Alright, well, on to the next question.
Mm-hmm.
Don't worry, you got 2 more mids till you beat his... before you beat his thing. Okay. I'm
gonna laugh if it just ends up being 1 second over. I'd laughing at that.
Oh god. Alright. And the famous question.
Oh shit.
What is your guilty pleasure?
Now, both Sean and Dart answered this sexually.
No, that was secret shame. This is guilty pleasure.
Oh, the the shame is the sexual one that they did?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, then, guilty pleasure. Here's the problem with that, man. I don't feel guilt for any hobby that I have. Anything like that. I will be blunt. I will admit that I like what I like. But if I... Hang on, I'm gonna think. Guilty pleasure. Okay. This, if I had to give this a guilty pleasure label, I would say I enjoy slice of life / romance animes more than what somebody with my demeanor should.
Okay.
If you just met me for the first time, as far as basing just entirely off my looks, I obviously look like I should like horror, psychological thrillers, shonens, and stuff like that. But I do absolutely love a slice of life romance anime, and that's the. Now, when I say this, I mean more akin to where it does not have a supernatural element to it, like something that couldn't feasibly happen. But probably the best one I can think of that is obviously ones that could realistically happen, because with a lot of animes, it's either some kind of supernatural plot or somebody having superpowers or something along those lines. I like being able to basically shut like that kind of my side of my brain off and just enjoy something that could be realistic. And I'm not too much of a man to admit it. It's nice to have a cry every now and then just to kind of reset the system. Probably the best one I would say that is my... Well, the bad thing is the one that's my ultimate guilty pleasure is got a little bit of the fantasy style to it. But I would say probably the one that I enjoyed the most was... oh crap, I'm trying to recall the full name. But it was the basic thing is, I think it was just called The Gaming Club. The premise of it was that a high schooler basically discovered this group of friends who would play video games, and that was their club. And going into the side of it where it shows the reason why they're obsessed with these particular types of games. You get the guy who's obsessed with fighting games because he loves learning the ins and outs, the mechanics, the different combos, the finishers, and stuff like that. He enjoys that process. And come to find out that
was one of the main characters of the anime a female, a blonde character?
Every single anime has one blonde character. Dude.
Well, I'm
no. Down.
No. The fact I remember, I feel like I've heard. I feel like I've watched this. I mean, the guy.
I'm looking up the.
I think it was called. I think the anime was called Gamers, and I remember.
It's not that one, but that is a good one.
Okay, because I was gonna say I thought the female like love interest was the. I thought she was blonde or whatever, and I can't remember, but I do remember there was one of those. I can't remember. God damn it!
I know, right? Hang on. It's an anime that wasn't popular. Like, it didn't take off as well as it should, just because there was no fantasy style to it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it was just the board game club or something along those lines. I've seen a few. One I definitely enjoyed that's kind of along the same lines is an anime called Defrag.
Oh, I've seen Defrag.
Defrag's good. I like it.
Yeah, same here.
But those kinds of animes where the realism becomes a little bit more apparent and to where it's something that could actually happen. I enjoy watching those from time to time, even though I absolutely love isekais. I love... There's been only like a handful of animes that I would just be like, that is total trash. Now, there's animes I just didn't get into, but I can see why people enjoyed them, and that's fair. There's only been like a handful that I've watched that was like, this is absolute garbage.
Right.
But I would say guilty pleasures, I would say definitely the romance, slice of life, non-supernatural, non-fantasy style. That would definitely be like a guilty pleasure. Okay. Even though my favorite anime of all time is a romance style thing, but it's an anime called Ancient Magus Bride. That right there is... Tokyo Ghoul only goes to number 2 for me on that one. Just a little bit, just because with Ancient Magus Bride, that has... I love the author for the manga because I just finished up until a couple days ago when the next volume 14 came out of it. The writer goes into... She does the best research to get her information right. And that's what I love about it. When the writer actually goes the extra mile to portray what they're writing about accurately. Have you seen Ancient Magus Bride?
No, but that is on my list. I think I came across it on either Verve or Crunchyroll, and I do have it on my list to watch it.
The premise of it is, I'm sure you saw a little bit, it's essentially, the whole anime starts off, and the manga starts off, where this young girl gets bought at an auction.
Yeah, you said she was like a slave. I think you talked about this in the second episode of the Creepy Cast.
Yeah. She's what's called a slay beggy. What that is the best way I can describe it, because even in the manga and in the anime, it's not clearly defined what exactly a slay beggy is. There's a lot of analogies that they give her, but the premise, to boil it down, a slay beggy is essentially somebody that radiates magic from their core, whereas magicians and alchemists, the main two, we'll call them factions in this story, they have to rely either on getting help from Fey creatures. They spell it F-E-Y. I mean, the original definition was F-A-E, but that's perfectly fine. I've seen it spelled several different ways. But magicians have to get help from Fey. Alchemists essentially kind of follow the same thought process as Full Metal Alchemist, equivalent exchange kind of thing. But with the slay beggy, they can just produce magic whenever they want. The downside is it cuts their life expectancy by a lot. Seeing a slay beggy reach old age is never been done. And the reason I like this is because there's a love story between this girl, Chise, and the person who bought her. Which, I don't want to spoil anything, but there's a premise that they are going to be married, and essentially it just kind of goes from there, where she just becomes, or people call her, the mage's bride.
Okay, then I could actually see myself watching that then.
I am pissed because they only released one season of the anime, and it seems like they're done, even though the manga is still being written.
You still hold out hope that knowing that they might make another season?
I am, but I'm not hopeful on. Realistically, I don't believe it's going to go far, because it did not do as well as what I think it should have. I think this should have been on league with stuff like Fairy Tail, with stuff like One Piece. Okay, maybe not to the degree of One Piece, because One Piece has been around for so fucking long, and they just need to stop. I love One Piece, I do, but good Christ, man, there's like 97 volumes or some shit like that, and each volume's got like 10 chapters.
No one's ever going to catch up, not even me.
Somebody did. Somebody actually forcefully sat themselves down and read every single one.
Oh my god.
I mean, it took a few days, obviously, because, work. But somebody forced themselves to do it, and though, if I recall correctly, they said that if they would have stopped here, and I think they pointed at, like, volume 60 or something like that, what have you, it would have been a good ending. It may not have been 60, but it was, like, a little bit past halfway. But they said if they would have stopped here, it would have been perfect. But they kept going. But there was a reason behind why they're still going. And it was more... It was not necessarily that the writer wanted more money. But I think it was more because of the publisher said, okay, you're in this contract. We're now going to renew this contract only if you release a stupid amount more volumes, because they saw the money. And he said outright, I'll do it, but it's not going to be as good quality. What he basically meant by that was, I'm going to intentionally make this crap so you lose money and get me out of my contract. Nope, didn't work. He's still going.
He could just outright said no.
He was still under the original contract. Again, this is rumors. I don't know if this is true, so don't come after me for this. But he was still under contract to do more, because like when they approached him for this, he was like in the middle of like what should have been the final arc, and if he said no, he would have been dropped, which means One Piece would have ended on not even a cliffhanger, but like just out of the blue, which would have been worse.
Okay, then that makes sense.
He tried his best. He wants to do different things, the writer and the artist. They want to do different things. Actually, no, it's different. They want to do something different, but unfortunately they're under this contract to keep going. I get it, but I do feel sympathy for this guy just because he wants to do something else for spending, the better part of a few decades on the same story. Now, I love writing, I love world building, but just 10 years alone, just 10 years, 1 decade, on the same story, that would be bad. As a writer, you want to branch out and do different things, but you got to go where the money is, and I get it, but I just found that rather interesting for the amount of One Piece volumes that are still going to be coming out, because Fairy Tail ended, Bleach ended.
Actually, I heard rumors saying that Bleach might be coming back.
They don't need to. It's done. It's done. They dragged the last quarter of Bleach's life. They stretched it too thin. They should have just ended there and kind of do what they did with Fairy Tail. Kind of have a spin-off, because I think Fairy Tail's writer is now writing a new manga called, I think it's called Eden Zero. I could be wrong about that, but I think it's called Eden Zero. But the main 3 characters in it look exactly like Natsu, like Lucy, like Happy, but they all have different names and different haircuts. I haven't read Eden Zero. I could be entirely wrong about that title, by the way, so please bear with me. But he kind of did the same art style, but it's a different story, whereas Fairy Tail has more of that fantasy setting. I believe Eden Zero is kind of going more space style with it. Again, I'm basing this entirely on a cover. I literally am judging a book by its cover, but I understand why he did that, because that's kind of his namesake or something like that. But that's kind of eking a little bit too much on Fairy Tail's success, in my opinion. But I don't know. As soon as I finish reading Fairy Tail, I'll pick up Eden Zero and just see how different it is, and see if it's literally just completely different characters, just they look similar.
Okay. Hey. I respect that. Considering I have been a fan of One Piece and everything like that for so long, I can't see how anybody would take the time, like you said earlier, to sit down and read and catch up as much as that dude has.
Yeah. I mean, if I sat down and just read one volume of just a random manga, depending on how big it is, of course, I could probably finish a volume in anywhere from 1 to 2 hours, give or take. Now, One Piece, I believe, at this point, is in its 90th plus volume. That's easily a few days of just constant reading. That's not even taking into consideration bathroom breaks, going to bed, going to work, and stuff like that. The fact that this person did that, props to him for having that kind of patience, because I couldn't do it. But, yeah, I agree on that.
Alright. Now with all that rambling out the way, and just so you know, yes, you finally beat him. By like 13 minutes.
We're not even done yet.
Yep, you have 2 more questions left.
I know one of them, I believe.
Yep. Which is the question... What is your secret shame?
Once again, I am ashamed of nothing I've done in my life. But if I'm answering in the same pattern that Dart and Sean did, talking about sexual stuff, I'm going to say futa. Futanari.
Would you like to express to the audience what a futanari is?
Chicks with dicks. Because here's the thing. I'm bisexual. I like both. So this is the best of both worlds. Tits and dick. Perfect. That is like my guilty porn pleasure. Bum.
Okay. Yeah, I'll give you that. But yes, guys, he is a bisexual male.
Mm-hmm.
I've known this for a while. I've known him for the better part of, I would say, like a year, maybe a year and a half, maybe 2.
Give or take.
Yeah, give or take.
Mm-hmm.
And, yes, he has told me that he is a bisexual male. No, people, I'm not his type, and he's not mine.
Nope. Sorry, bro. You're too young.
I'm straight.
Mm-hmm. There is that.
Yeah.
Plus, here's the thing. I did this once, and I will never do it again. I will never date a friend. Period. Because let's just say if you date a friend and the relationship ends, that relationship has changed forever. Period.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I will no longer, and you are one of my best friends, So as a result, I will never date you.
Yeah. See, that's the
That's the
thing I
same
keep
thing.
telling people. That's the thing I keep telling people. You should not date within your friend group because it always ends badly.
On the slim chance that it doesn't, you have that storybook, romantic, Disney, marriage, what have you.
Mm-hmm.
Considering the fact that more than 50% of marriages end in divorce, more than 90% of relationships that are started before the age of 30 end, I don't want to take that kind of effort into something that's just going to fail.
Right.
I'm already dealing with my channel, and that's enough. But that's why because like I said, I did date a friend, a childhood friend once, and that ended very badly. There's no hostility, there's no anger. It's more of, well, because of this, we can no longer have a relationship at all, as far as friendship. And every woman that watches this video, I want you to understand something. This is going to all the females that are out there. The whole adage of we can't date anymore, but can we be friends? No, you cannot. You cannot be friends. The second you have seen somebody naked with intent to have sex, your relationship changes permanently. Now, even if it was just a simple kiss, that is still enough. There is no way a relationship goes back to the way things were after you have essentially been dating. It changes from that point forward. So, sorry to break it to you, ladies. Those guys that said, sure, I'll be your friend even though you just ripped my heart out, they don't think of you the same way. And you'll slowly start to see them drift off and not have contact with you. That is why.
Because things are just not as the way they used to be.
Correct. Not to be much of a downer, but that is just the case that it is.
That is a life lesson for everyone here.
And I feel like everybody should at least go through that once. Having that soul-crushing heartbreak, which I'm sure everybody has at least once.
Mm-hmm. I have with my ex-wife.
Yep. I have with the friend I was dating. But the whole thing of, just like Ryan said, do not date a friend. Now, you can date a friend of a friend. That does carry its awkwardness if you two split up for sure, but it's easier to kind of get back into the swing of things if you break up from there. But if you date a friend, that's it. The relationship has changed permanently.
Yeah. I've had my fair share, though, of dating a friend of a friend.
Right.
Not gonna lie. I've had more than one relationship like that, but some of those actually have worked out in the end. Like a good friend of mine, Mercedes, she and I don't really keep in contact anymore, but every now and again, she has messaged me and I have messaged back, just trying to, I guess, kind of reconnect and see how how each of us has been, with our lives.
Right.
So it didn't really end on a good note, but it didn't really end on a bad note either. It just ended like that, but I mean, it's not as awkward as it was.
I can't say too much on the people I've dated because as of right now, I see very little to no appeal to dating anyone right now. But then again, this is my mentality. Everybody else, my brain is wired very differently just from all the crap I did to myself as well as what I've experienced in my childhood and even going up to my teenage years and even early 20s. My thought process has drastically changed because of that.
Right.
So, as of right now, I do not have any interest in dating. Some of those are very shallow. I'll very well admit that I have a few shallow reasons why I don't date. The main one is money. I finally have a comma in my bank account and I want to keep it that way. Normally, for a guy, the second you end up in a relationship, your money starts to dwindle down quick. Very quick. Yeah. The other problem is, and I'm not going to get too deep into my love life on this one before we go to the last question. But my brain is completely screwed over for sex that it is now boring to me. That's why I have the futanari. I don't like saying the word fetish, but even though I guess it kind of is. But it just becomes
your interest.
Right. But because of that, and that's how my last 2 relationships ended, they would do the stereotypical, and not all women are like this, but a good chunk that I've dated are, so that's the only experience that I have. They were very quick to want sex, and sex to me is just boring. I don't know why I think this. I think it's just more of an annoyance. I like Ryan said, I am bisexual, so I like both sides of it. But to me, it's just I don't view it as disgusting or anything like that. To me, it's just kind of, all right, let's go. It's just something tedious, and I know I'm on an island for this one. I know that for a fact. But that's why my last 2 relationships ended, is because and I understand it is my fault on this one, but they asked, do you want to go to the bedroom? And I said, yeah, let me finish this real quick, then sure. They took that as saying I don't find them attractive. And that started the fight, which blah, 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 led to me being single. So, actually I got one funny story on I think it's funny, you might not think it's funny, but in college I was with this one girl who, that's all she wanted. It was basically friends with benefits, but we actually were dating. So it was just basically a relationship that had, I'm going to be blunt, had a lot of sex. But as a result, after that, the next girl I dated, sex to me was just, again, boring, to the point where she would throw the trump card of, I've got boobs, I've got a vagina. So she thinks every time we're in an argument, she will just flash me. It was like, what? And then just continue arguing to get to the point. She says she lost her feminine power over me. And I found that really funny. that literally, if a woman flashes me her tits, I will obviously look, then just move on about my day, and that's it.
I mean, a lot of people have been hurt enough to know we're just apparently numb to it now. I mean,
very true.
We'll see a pair of tits or someone seeing a dick, go nice, move on.
Oh, I won't even say nice. I'll just be like, and just move. No compliment, just it's there.
It's just,
Yeah. And that's very bizarre. I just thought of this. Men, on average, if you ask the very stereotypical college frat boy thing, what is normally their one deal breaker when it comes to a woman? Stereotypically, they'll say she can't be fat. The stereotypical bullshit like that. You get over that when you're in your 30s. Actually, even probably before that. Because, again, you just try to avoid the drama when you get older.
Yeah.
But I find it funny, they say they don't like fat women, but the main thing that's on a woman that they love to death is just nothing but fat. I don't understand that, but
it's very contradicting.
Very. I find it very weird. But apparently, women, if you are a little overweight, best way to get a man to pay attention to you, just tattoo a pair of nipples on your stomach. Men will love you. Please don't do that. I don't want to get comments.
Please don't, because not even a tramp stamp or whatever is gonna be good, especially.
Now hold on that one. Tramp stamps can be ugly. I agree with that. But if they're done well, and you have depending on what type of frame that you have, because some people are bigger than others, regardless of gender. Sometimes a tramp stamp can actually flow very well with your frame, and it looks good. It can look good. The problem is you'll get people who are, I refer to these people as the Walmart 500. The people who get the people who get the scooters, when it really should say on the scooters it's meant for the frail, not for the whale. And they'll get the tiny little tramp stamp on their back when there's more canvas to be filled in. We'll put it that way. When you do that crap, that's just, it doesn't look good. Tattoo placement is very important. The subject matter is important as well, but to me, it's more important on where it's placed so it flows with your anatomy.
Right, yeah. Kind of like how I did with the tattoo. Well, my tattoo, actually.
Right. Mind you, I have over 30 tattoos. So...
And those sleeves.
Do what?
Sit with all your fucking sleeves. I honestly thought about getting a tattoo on the back of my left shoulder. Like, considering I'm pretty sure you never watched Naruto.
I've seen... Okay, I started watching Naruto a little while ago. Again, ADD, I got distracted. I forgot all about it. I got up to the point where Naruto was fighting a giant frog. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah.
Okay, so I stopped there.
Hell, okay. I was up to the point to where it was I was gonna get Sasuke's curse mark.
See, I didn't reach any of that. I need to start picking it up again. But actually, bringing the conversation way back, the first question you asked me, I discussed something on Critical Role. One of the voice actors on there is in Naruto.
Yeah. Wait.
Liam O'Brien I can't remember the guy's name because I'm terrible with names, absolutely god awful. But he's the guy that's got like the sand thing on his back.
Oh, the Sandgord, the guy who plays Gaara?
Yes, him. That is Liam O'Brien's voice.
Oh, when he talks like... Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was Liam O'Brien for that character, and he's on Critical Role.
Okay.
And it's funny because on one of their first campaigns, not one of the first campaign, they had a Halloween episode. They do it every year. They dress up different characters for Halloween. One Halloween, they all dressed up as people they have voiced for. And that's what Liam O'Brien did. He voiced as that character.
Okay.
Okay. All right, we're moving on because we got onto another tangent.
Yep. And just so yes, you have beat him now, and it's almost 2 hours. Okay, here we go. The last question. And I can tell you're going to go off on a tangent on this one.
Oh, probably.
What is the most important part of a game to you? And this means it's to you only. The lore, the world in which the game is set, or the characters and their development, or whatever else you can think of.
Oh, Jesus Christ. See, that is a very broad question. Okay. You were right. I have to go on a tangent just to give my explanation. Alright. I am going to explain this, but I have to preference this. The important part of a game depends on the genre. The reason, or why I say that, is let's just take something like, let's take like Halo. Probably one of, if not the most popular game franchise that's out right now.
Oh, no.
Halo,
damn sure.
Focusing on the mechanics of Halo. It's solid. but it's not above and beyond. Focusing on the graphics, while good, they're not the best. What makes Halo good, in my opinion, is the world that they're living in and the explanation behind it. So world building the world lore for Halo, to me, is what makes it good. Because you have, obviously, the Flood, you have Master Chief, you have all the explanation that each and every game kind of gives a little bit more in the way of backstory as it goes through. Now, as far as something, my personal favorite, survival horror. That is a game that has to be something that can dig into your psyche. If it's just jump scares like Five Nights at Freddy's, that's more of a suspense game as opposed to a horror game, because you're waiting for the tension to build in order to essentially get relief after the jump scare. You get scared, you laugh, you move on. Or depending on how bad the game is, you get scared, you turn the game off, and never touch it again. But for that, it's how the audio, surprisingly enough, the audio in a horror game can make or break it. Like, for example, and even when there's no audio, perfect example of this is probably my favorite game of all time, Silent Hill 2. In Silent Hill 2, there is music, even probably some of the best scores written for a game that's not going like full Final Fantasy orchestral design. With Silent Hill 2, there are moments where you get the music. There are moments where you get this eerie ambience that just kind of like sends shivers up your spine. And more importantly, in my opinion, is when the game has no audio, no background music, no ambience, nothing. It is quiet. Those moments of quiet, just hearing your footsteps and the occasional wind rustling, that right there is what makes a good survival horror game. Now, for games like fantasy style, we're talking like World of Warcraft, we're talking Dragon Age, we're talking Elder Scrolls. That has to be the world lore. Because you can have this expansive world that just is completely around you, various settlements with their own set of laws and rules. But if there's nothing there as far as a story to explain why these cities are there, to explain why these people worship these deities, it feels hollow. And once you have a game that feels hollow, nobody's going to come back to it. And then there's the games like Call of Duty and Battlefield, where they're definitely more first-person shooter, action-focused. The story fails, at least in the recent ones, in my opinion. The Black Ops and Modern Warfare 2, really good stories. But those are games where you have to have the mechanics solid. You have to have a game like that because of the multiplayer. If the multiplayer mechanics are atrocious, nobody's going to be there. And at least past 5 years, if not longer, the Call of Duty and the Battlefield games have been solely focused on their multiplayer aspects. Everything from your standard PvP areas to zombies to whatever they're doing now. I think even Modern Warfare brought back Prop Hunt. I could be wrong about that. But if those mechanics of those games are completely trash, the game will not succeed. It does not matter how well the game looks. It does not matter how well the game sounds and stuff like that. If the mechanics and the feel of the game are not on point, the game will be a failure. And in that regard, Call of Duty and Battlefield has done very well as far as making, not necessarily meeting what they needed to meet or what they wanted to meet, but I do believe they still make a profit, just not as much as they wanted. But because of that, they focus more on the mechanics side of it than they do anything else, and that's how it should be. If there's a story there, it's just there. It's not going to stay with you. It's not going to do anything. The only way, at least here in the past few years, where a part of a game is not portrayed well, people in the community will still find little tidbits of the game that they'll turn into a meme. Like the press F to pay respects, or even a few clips of glitched games that just make a funny meme and stuff like that. But to answer that question, you have to narrow it down by genre, in my opinion.
Okay. I really do like that answer. I really do.
I did good.
Honestly, because I would have said, for certain games, I would have said definitely lore. I mean, because I want to be drawn in, not just with the mechanics or anything like that. I want to be drawn into the story. I do like that kind of stuff. Not gonna lie.
In my opinion, one of the games that gets all of it borderline flawless, in my opinion, and I'm gonna get some hate for this one, Final Fantasy 15 has great lore. The mechanics are solid as can be. The soundtrack to that game is awe-inspiring. Just as a shitty musician that I was, the score from that is something I can listen to in the car and be happy. Plus, the mechanics of the game, like I mentioned prior, it is done so well. The UI is clearly understandable to me. Plus, with the story and the character development throughout the game, especially since the game came out later on with DLC explaining the stories behind Ignis, Promptu, and oh my god, I am so ashamed of myself for I'm blanking on the name.
Noctis?
Gladys!
Gladys? Okay.
And Noctis, yeah. Noctis, we don't really see too much of a backstory for because we're already actively portraying what he is. Plus, you watch King's, I think it's called King's Glaive, the movie that is like a prequel to it. Then they released I think it was Arden? No, Arduin. One of the main bad guys, quote unquote. He got his own DLC to explain his backstory. They were going to release more, and I'm pissed off about this. They canceled them. It was going to discuss Lady Lunafreya, her backstory, as well as, who was the sixth? I think it was the, have you played Final Fantasy 15?
Yeah, I've played it.
Okay. The lady in black that just shows up randomly, like just appears out of thin air, they were going to give her a backstory as well.
Oh shit, okay.
I want to play that. I got the platinum in that game, but I did not get 100% of the trophies, and that drives me nuts. I need to get back into it.
Yeah, considering, yes, you are a trophy hunter.
I am. Even though I've not done as much as I should here lately, because I want a PS5, just so I can get the platinum in Demon Souls, the remake. I cannot, for the life of me, find one. Thank you, coronavirus. But out of the retailers that I've been to asking if they have any in stock, the majority of them have said they probably won't get any more until the coronavirus crap has been dealt with. But now that the vaccines are getting released, I'm hoping that'll be soon, because I want to play the remake of Demon Souls, man. That was my favorite PS3 games. Well, that or the Mass Effect trilogy.
Okay. Alright, and with that, guys, during this 2-hour and 4-minute interview, I actually did enjoy this talk. I really did. Just much like the other two, yes. But Dart was the guinea pig for my first Hellish interview. Yes, he was the guinea pig.
You got to do Spike next. You know that, right?
Yeah, I definitely gotta do Spike next.
Either Spike, Logan, and Scoods, maybe.
Yeah.
Logan would definitely have some interesting stories for you with these questions as well. Scoods, I feel like, would be more censored, even though he'll speak his mind. But I feel like he would be more akin to give you the. I hate saying this because I know Scoods and he's very honest, but he would kind of, in my head, he would kind of give you the politician answer. Where he would be vaguely on the topic, but he don't want to say anything to cause any drama. To where he'll just kind of swerve through it. He'll answer the question, but he'll kind of keep it vague. Logan will try to be nice. I would say pretty much out of the entire group, I would say either Sean or Logan are probably the nicest as far as not wanting to piss anybody off. You already know I have no issue with that. You already know Dart has no issues with that. Spike is just kind of, I'll roll with the punches. I'm chill. What are we doing? And that's kind of his mentality. In my opinion. Oh, here's the thing though. Whenever you interview Spike, ask him about the story about the first time he met me.
That was actually going to be one of his questions.
Okay. Okay, then I'm not going to spoil anything then.
Alright, guys. And please remember to burn the hell out of that like button. Comment down below what you think of the video. Share with your friends and subscribe to become part of the demonic army. And hit that bell to be notified every time I do upload. No, here. Do you want me to tag you in this or whatever?
Nah.
Nah? Okay.
Nah, my channel pretty much at this point, it'll be lucky if I get an upload a month just because of the amount of stuff I have to do and just, I'm going to be straight up, man, I've lost the drive to record and have that same energy level that I try to portray, but here recently I just don't have that energy level to keep going. Or I'll continue to upload. It'll just be a lot more sporadic.
And that's very understandable. I understand. Anything you want to say before we sign off here?
I was gonna say something, but I'm gonna bite my tongue. So nope, we're good. Nope, I'm gonna bite my tongue. I could have gotten myself in trouble if I just said what just came to my head. Nope, I'm good.
Alright. Stay loyal, my underlings.